Salutations, utopians. Hope all is well in your world. Global here. Want to talk a little bit about the big news this morning coming from Adrian Wojnarowski. As you all know, Woj has been gifting the world, the basketball world, with NBA news now for quite some time, and we've all become accustomed to the Woj bombs, quote unquote. Uh, and it appears that now that is it. That is it. It's the end of an era. Um, you know, First of all, what an incredible run. I'm extremely shocked because you expect players to retire. LeBron leaving, I'm already mentally prepared for that kind of stuff, even though it'll never truly sink in. Uh, and it's really one of the parts of life I dread the most. Endings for some reason. Sometimes it means good new beginnings, but still, at the end of the day, uh, the guy has meant so much to the history of basketball that it's definitely not a time to cheer up yet. But with that being said, um, it's understandable. The new CBA really makes it clear that the NBA is going to crack down on this hyper transaction league we've become, that it's become, excuse me. Um, you know, they made these rules this summer or implemented them finally to prevent super teams and the hyper transaction. And I'm going to say I'm pleased with that, to be honest with you, in the bigger picture, because uh, a couple reasons. I didn't think I was going to go this in depth, but one, people have become, the fans have started to treat it like the stock market, like penny stock, dumping these players like they don't have any meaning. And I think it's better for the overall game when fans are more intimately tied to each individual player instead of trying to be virtual GMs, spending day and night. And I get it, it's show business, so everybody, as long as the people are talking, it's great. But talking about players, real human beings, like they're dispensable, doesn't really sit right with me. And so I'm glad to see that it's going to force fans to really be fans of their teams and their players, for better or worse. But secondly, you know, you're going to have players now in teams with this hard cap. If you want to spend money, if you want to go out and get a player, fine, as long as you're willing to go over the tax threshold, that's your business. But ultimately, at the end of the day, now with this cap in place, it's going to force teams to really draft. It's going to force teams to really manage players. I do think that we need more teams. I don't like seeing guys like Markel Fultz and Lonnie Walker have to settle for uh, veteran minimum contracts. Uh, you know, it's crazy to think that Isaac Okoro was Woj's last bomb. Uh, but where the NBA is heading now, we're not going to see that many transactions, and so there's no sense really in him fighting with Shams over micro news. Now it's going to be more about G League transactions, also the NYBL in Australia. There's so many leagues developing. There's so many talents out there that it just makes no sense to be clawing. There's enough for one person. Don't get me wrong, and we can talk about it. I guess I was going to wait till later, but the people that would step in now, Brian Windhorst obviously will probably kind of take over that lane a little bit more now, occupy that lane, even though he's a LeBron guy and LeBron is on his way out. I've watched Brian, he brings some great analysis most of the time. And so you could see him, and he's kind of already been one of those insider guys, even though, he can be wrong a lot. And then, you got, guys like Jonathan Giveno, who you could see Woj lend his platform to at times this summer. Um, He's been known as a scout. Armand Jovic is another international scout. I could see a lot of Division One schools and in JUCO league. I mean, Division One schools and Division Two schools go out there and start recruiting overseas more. Howard was looking at South Africa. You see the damage they did this summer against USA in the Olympics. They had McCord Maker, who was the number one talent a couple years ago. So no question, uh, you know there's going to be some, musical chairs going on. Obviously, Shams is the big name right now, and it's always comical to me because people for years tried to pin them against each other on some, like, similar to how people did Jordan and LeBron, even though there's no similarities in their game. But I guess you're just talking about, where they rank in the ecosystem at what they do, marketing and business wise, in the lane, the niche they're in, I guess. But like if Woj paved the way for Shams, I don't necessarily see it as a competition, especially when Shams' contract conveniently concludes with the Athletic in the same year that Woj announced his retirement. So that's kind of weird to me. I also think it's very interesting. Woj going to Shane Bonaventure, he's actually going to make way more impact than he is. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's solidified himself as a legend in the realm that he's in, broadcasting and media, and he's very knowledgeable. By the way, he really sees the things that I like to see. Not trying to big myself up. That didn't sound good, but you know what I'm trying to say. He sees the game, and he notices the nuances that I see, that I tend to see, and I appreciate. And so I have full faith that him in the GM role is going to be even more crazy because with the NIL, Rick Pitino's over there in St. John. I think, what is it? St. John. He picked up three big time recruits. And the NIL is really free agency now, and it's creating opportunities that have never been seen before, and it's becoming the equalizer. And teams that I think it was Western Kentucky, I forgot, K State. They waited till the very last minute to spend their NIL budget and landed themselves one of the biggest prospects this year just by waiting until players declared for the draft and most teams had already made their decisions. So you're going to start seeing the ecosystem change on a collegiate level, and it's ironic because collegiate players, damn, there's a fact that I wanted to bring up earlier that it's bothering me. I'm not able to figure it out. But there's collegiate players, uh, collegiate coaches that are trying to leave college. Most notably comes to mind in football with Coach Prime. You could tell he's telling people, "Hey, I can't go to people's house like the traditional format." You know, sending the signals that he might want to be going pro. It's kind of the same, but to see Woj on the other hand say, "I want to go college with all the connections I have, with all the knowledge I have. I'm trying to go college because that's right up my alley for a guy who's trying to prove himself in a space." And St. Bonaventure, they're a very storied historical. They're a very storied school. They've been on the ascension since 2011, 2012. It was a 7, 8 year run where they were completely, abysmal due to the suspensions and some scandals that I won't speak on. I don't really talk on legal matters, but since then they have been steadily progressing, and the next step is to try to get themselves into the Big East. That'll be one of the big check marks for Woj, going to St. Bonaventure, changing conferences, getting them in a better conference where they can get some light. But this is a big opportunity for him. Shams instantly. Chris Hayes is another name at ESPN that they're going to be looking to replace Woj with. Uh, and so that creates this ecosystem now of new people that could become the forefront, some names to look at. But from all sides, it could be different. Things are going to change drastically. A lot of this shakeup is necessary. We've seen it this offseason with TV analysts moving, and now you're seeing it kind of in the rumor mill lane, so to speak. All of it goes hand in hand. All of it matters. It's very important, and so uh, you know, uh, Shams breaking loose from Stadium and Athletic this offseason have an open negotiation. That's why you see him take a page out of Stephen A's book, do a little bit of, politics discussion. You see him with the podcast. Guys are trying to expand the brand and become more of a staple in the league. But everything makes sense. Woj is in a great situation where he could really turn them into a new Kentucky like environment. If you're a player who wants to go pro, he's the kind of guy you want to go play for, because and Mark Smith has now already become the current coach at St. Bonnie's. He's already broke the record for most wins in school history. So everything's there. The alignment's there. The coach has been there for 12 years. Woj has got crazy NBA connections now developed in direct pipelines to GMs. Shams is more of like the players guy. Historically, Woj has been more of like commissioner, and I think he kind of got the inside information ahead of time that we're going to be changing this collective bargaining agreement. So he kind of already been planning this behind the scenes, hence why he did that interview with Bob Hurley. And don't be surprised if UConn, they able to get some lobs from UConn for that favor that he pulled. He was already kind of preparing, soft warming, soft landing, the connections and the bridges to other schools. St. Bonnie could easily become that Big East, and that entire New York area is kind of East Coast area, Buffalo, all that Jersey is going to start seeing an influx. Hell, they're talking about moving Philadelphia 76ers to New Jersey. That's just a hotbed right now for basketball, and they're trying to resuscitate that culture over there. And the Knicks got a backup. They got a point guard from the Big East who you expect to see, Tyler Kay. Look out for him. He's a southpaw, scrappy dude. Yes, the Knicks have brought in, campaign and all that, but Tyler's going to be doing stuff on with the Westchester Knicks, and expect the G League now to start being a lot more represented for transaction reasons. I reported yesterday on my Twitter X page about Skylar Mays going to the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are, they got 36-year-old Mike Conley. Then you got Dillingham. Skylar Mays provides a little more depth. I know they got that shooting guard over there in the second of their first round picks, who some said were going to be better than Zach Edey before the legal problems, but he's more of a combo guard. What they got right now, Skylar Smith, that's going to be at some point in the season. I could definitely see him. He's more of a traditional floor general, which is the league is going back towards that. So, though it's an end of an era, this isn't the last we'll probably see of Woj, even though right now he's behind the scenes. Could even eventually lead to him in a general manager capacity with this time away from the league, getting that, in Hollywood, they have this thing where you're typecasted as a certain person, him going to St. Bonaventure, changing the image, going behind the scenes, falling under the radar a little bit, and getting into the nuances of the business side of things more, if there's even possible, is all going to work out for the greater good. I don't think it's the last time we see Woj in the NBA capacity, but I like this shift. It's going to create more opportunities for the idiots out there who are saying Shams outlived Woj. I don't even look at it like that. I think it's just more of I've been there, I've done this a long enough, time to pass that on, which he always has been the mentor kind of guy, and he's going into different lane, something more into the modern approach. Not many people are equipped to handle this new collegiate level, and here this guy is perfectly designed for it, hungry, and being able to add a little bit more sweetener to the pot, going back to his alma mater where he attended in 91. This is an amazing opportunity for him. I can't be more happy for this guy. All the best to him. Cheers.